everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's on the Tuber. Welcome back. If this is your fifth Walker Season 3 episode review, I want to say this is episode 5. I think this is episode 5. It's been it's been 5. It's been 5 weeks. I'm so not exhausted, but I'm just so how time has moved. It's time is an abstract thought, ladies and gentlemen, because here's the thing. It is currently now November of 2022. Walker as a show started in January of 2021. It's been almost 2 years since we started this review series, since the show started. 2 years have gone by. It's like, it's one of those days, one of those reviews where I just look back and I'm like, it makes me feel old. I feel like this entire episode is just mainly thinking about how old you are and questioning what have you accomplished with your life so far and what haven't you accomplished so far. I feel like that's the main theme this week's episode for the most part, where everyone's just kind of grappling with that issue one way or another, and they have very sometimes healthy response to that question, sometimes not healthy response to the question. I think overall for me, I think this was a very enjoyable episode of Walker. I think this honestly was surprisingly a very sudden twist at the end. And again, it's one of those like misunderstanding type ordeals that I'm pretty sure the next episode will immediately like there will be consequences to actions that will go beyond this episode. And the question will be, how does that really go about, like going from here? And I feel like some of the dynamics won't be the same going forward. But otherwise, I just want to get through it already because, also, by the way, we're currently in a very tricky time for the CW because right now with the new leaders over at Nexus Star, they're pushing a new agenda, i.e. for apparently the average audience member for the CW is more often than not a 58-year-old adult. I'm like, I'm not 58. But I will admit, I do watch a lot of time on the CW, so I don't know what that entirely means or entails. But it is a very striking thought, and they have talked about that there will be hopeful scripted content in the future of the CW just to keep the idea alive. But this new leadership is very aggressive about just trying to be the new unscripted reality show-based programming network that they are, which it's going to be very interesting to see how we go, because right now, there's not that many shows left on the CW. Stargirl sadly got canceled earlier this week, so all we have left is the Walkerverse, the All-American Universe, Kung Fu, and I think Superman Lois. That's it. That's about it. I think I'm missing one more show that hasn't gone canceled. Gotham Knights excluded because that hasn't been picked up yet. But yeah, so there's not that many shows left on the network, which is pretty alarming to say the least, which I'm like, wow, like literally I was like, I made a joke about this when my co-host of Normacy, it's just George, that the CW had at one point, I think this point last year, like over 20 shows that they were airing, and they were figuring out the iffies of like, how do we air all these content? And now we're like even halfway down from it, and I think they're going to go down even less. Like, I don't know what's next on the chopping block. I really don't know. None of the shows seem to be what their target demographic is. So I'm just curious to see, like, what is the CW in 2023 to 2024? Well, what is that going to be looking like next fall? Is there even going to be a CW programming block? Who the heck knows? But that's in the future. But for now, it's time for the Walker episode recap, the Butchered recap. So we begin. I want to say specific. Yeah. So we're back at the side stool. It's a big weekend for the August of school. It's a big. I think it's a spirit weekend or something like that. They're doing some fun activities around that weekend. And the side stool is volunteering to donate some sandwiches over to the kids there for kind of like as a free meal. And normally, the Walker kids would be just getting the food. This year, even sadly for Stella, Cordell's making them all make the sandwiches. And again, this is one of those like very weird, akin pseudo family moments where, like, again, even though that Walker and Jerry are not dating right now, they're not, I don't think the feelings are 100% away, but they're definitely not dating right now. It definitely feels like kind of like this is a family dynamic where like it's the kid, we already know them, and then Jerry's kind of like not the new mom, but just kind of like that mom figure fitting around, still giving advice to her kids. And honestly, again, this episode really sold the fact that like Jerry may not be their mom, but she definitely is a mother figure to them. And even though like most likely even if her and Cordell ever end up and end up getting together, there is no obligation that like August or Stella have to treat her as like, oh, you're our new mom. There's never going to be that point. But it's kind of sweet that like they're viewing in her as like, you know, as each passing episode goes, like it's more and more like yeah, you are kind of like the mom that I go to at times. And August is trying to pitch Cordell to come down to his game. You know, it's a big, you know, it would be a big boost of confidence if his dad was there, kind of like cheering him on a little bit, like, you know, giving him some of the same love and support that he gave to Stella when she was his age, which wasn't that long ago. But okay, we're just comparing apples to oranges over here. Stella's working for the side stool that day, so it's going to be a little bit awkward, like, you know, her being a fresh alumni coming back to her old alma mater, high school, which honestly, again, for me personally, I stood away from my high school. I want to say for almost a whole year since I graduated. I tried not to go back because I still lived in the same city as my high school. It was just like another half borough away, so there was some considerable distance. There wasn't some overlap between my old peers and that were still there to like what my new peers were going to be. There really wasn't any of that sort. But I will admit that going into that time period, like, yeah, I did not want to be like, Stella literally says, I didn't want to be the creepy alumni that's still on his stomping ground. Because for me personally, and again, it's a contrary of opinion. Everyone's going to have their own different opinion. For me, I feel like it's a little bit weird that you are a fresh college graduate, fresh high school graduate, that you're going back to your your high school not even a few months after you left it. It feels weird, like, there was like a last reference before I go back to the recap. I saw a TikTok where this guy basically tried to like really pitch like the realistic approach of like a fresh graduate coming back to his high school, where he would be like, oh, did you guys change some things? Like, this looks different. And I'm like, bro, you've only been away for a few months. Shut the fuck up. And, you know, trying his damn best to like show old teachers like, yo, this was me. Remember me? And I was like, no, it's like, you're just trying to get attention. Normally people do that, like, just to get attention. It's like, oh yeah, how's college? Like a reason to discuss. It's like, no, it's pathetic. Anywho, back to it right now. Cordell sadly cannot 100% confirm it because he has a very special assignment that he and Cassie will be doing for Captain James tomorrow. So they'll figure it out tomorrow because they don't know what the heck the priority of the assignment is. Could be a long day assignment, could literally be in an hour. There's no guarantee, but he will do his damn best to be there. So meanwhile, at the very same time, Cassie's also disproving that she cannot make her and her brother's grandma's centennial restaurant celebration that they have up in Waco. That would be a big deal for her to be there because she hasn't been there in a while, considering the fact she went all AWOL when Miles disappeared. And that this would be a good opportunity for her to kind of reconnect with some family members. She, again, similar to Walker, she would love to do it, but the assignment is just so unclear by this point, she can't back out of it, so she has no choice. Liam volunteers himself to go along with him, and at first it was like a little awkward. He's like, no, we shouldn't invite him. And he's like, oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. Like, you know, you're just his new, well, it's not a boyfriend, but it's a new relationship, let's say it is, and you're also at the same time like you're just starting out, and you know his previous boyfriend they didn't get to meet each other for like a whole year, so you know maybe it's better you don't come. Eventually Liam has no choice but to come, but apparently they're not even at any of their Cassie's apartment. They're at James's apartment where his mom is there, or his mom. To welcome the fact that yes, he is officially about to be a Texas Ranger. He's officially finished Hell Week. He's ready to go. He's all getting ready to get suited up, and we cut back to the to the station to welcome in our brand new Texas Ranger. I forgot his last name. Troy. I forgot his last name. I apologize, but it's cool. It's great to see Trey coming so far against one of those moments where one of those rare moments when you have a long running show. By this point, where like you get to like really acknowledge the fact that we've come a long way. We've really we've been through so much, and it's a miss to like, yeah, that when Trey was first introduced on the show, I honestly was not like, I'm being completely honest. I feel like regardless what happens next year when I do my Walker season 1 definitive season review, I will say that when Trey was first introduced to us as an audience, I literally thought he was a fuckboy. I thought he was going to be cheating around. That's what I thought. I didn't know what to expect from him. And then the more we got into his storyline, and then even after when Mickey left, it was still akin to like, yeah, there is there's still room for growth for him. And it was great to see him grow to the point where, like, yeah, he is a Texas Ranger now. He is officially on the front lines with Walker, with Cassie, with James. And, it's definitely not what I was picturing when we first started his journey on the show. But, it is, this was definitely a result of, like, yeah, we made it to this point. Now we're just curious to see what is next for him. Cassie and Walker get their assignments. They're basically just in charge of evidence transport from a evidence check-in center in Dallas to come all the way back here to Austin. So that's their only assignment. They got to be back before midnight. After that, they're basically good to go for the rest of the day. So they say, you know what? It's a road trip. It gets to be a quiet time. Let's do it. Let's just have fun with this. A bunch of weird, corny old songs and a Dwayne The Rock Johnson Get Psych podcast. Yeah, Cassie's like, nah, I'm not doing this anymore. This is getting boring. While she's in the middle of changing up the soundtrack, they hear a lot of beeping. Very lot of beeping. They fear the worst, that maybe the accidental evidence transport is actually a bomb. So they stop. They pull out. They go to check in on the package, and it turns out to be just a bunch of watches that were all conveniently timed to 2 p.m. Well, 14 o'clock military time. The more that they're looking for, it turns out this is the evidence for Walker and Liam's kidnappers. And at first, Cordell's a little bit taken aback that, like, yeah, I think James would have known that, like, this is the evidence for him. And I'm pretty sure he had no other person but to send them to. But again, thinking that, Cordell's not even going to bother looking at these, so it's fine. He won't. What he doesn't know won't hurt him, which again, it makes sense. But curiosity killed the cat. So while they're just turning off the watches and packing away the evidence, they find a bunch of files in beneath that were just profiles for the killers. Not the killers, the torturers for the Walker brothers. And they say, you know what? We got to midnight. And we're not gonna make August's game anymore, so we might as well just check out these files and just say, screw it, let's go check these out. So they do, and they're just baffled on the amount of detail, the amount of work that they done on Walker, on every other Ranger, except for Cassie. Cassie has only one page in a file. And it literally, and she basically summarizes, like, Cassie becomes Ranger. Cassie cries over a lost partner. Cassie comes back to Ranger. Cassie finds Miles. Cassie gets suffered for a bad breakup over one of our secret spies. I'm just looking at myself, ooh. Like, that's actually a little disrespectful. Like, yeah, Cassie's still, like, new and everything, but she deserves more than a page. Maybe, like, a few pages at least. I wouldn't even say that, but, like, the fact that her most important criteria for them was just literally summarized in less than a page. She gets flabbergasted by it, and also she gets a little bit blindsided and a little down by the fact that, yeah, in the eyes of very professional criminals, they didn't really view me as, like, someone to write about. And Walker's, like, trying to, like, pale it down a little bit, saying, like, no, it's just you're new and, like, you don't have that much experience yet, but, like, I'm sure that eventually you will have, if the next well-organized criminal that comes our way, and I'm pretty sure they'll give you a few pages. And she's like, they got your dental records. I'm just like, well, they wanted Cordell, so they had to make sure what the hell his team's going to hide. He could be hiding a freaking microchip or, like, a surveillance book for all we know. We don't know. But anyway, yeah, so Walker initially sees that, like, yeah, Cassie's not 100% well, so he says, you know what, the evidence is going to be fine right here in this car, so why don't we go down to your grandma's restaurant and just enjoy some brisket, enjoy a nice night together before, we head back with this evidence. And she's like, you know what, fine, let's go get some brisket. We're at the restaurant. Liam and his boyfriend, Cassie's brother, are there as well. And, they're just, Liam's trying to, like, learn one of the sauce recipes and trying to impress the grandma a little bit. The grandma shows up and, she's a very nice, sweet old lady, very much of a hard, passionate cook in her side, as well as a very sweet grandma who's like, I just want my grandkids to visit me more often. It's like, yeah, I wish you would. You seem like a nice woman, / I want your food. Like, all that food that they had spread out. I'm like, I want that brisket. I need to go back to Texas someday. Like, I just went to Texas in August, and I'm like, it's only November. Like, I want to go back. Also, August was not that long ago. Jesus Christ, I'm getting old. Anywho, continuing onwards with my ideology before I blanked out over there. She's very nice to Liam, like, not overly too interested, but she's like, okay, he's here. That's about it. Yeah, by the time Walker and Cassie show up, she's like, oh my God, Cordell Walker, Texas Ranger, like, we've heard so much about you. And she's like, well, just call me Walker. Just call me Walker. They also find a couple more details about Cassie, that she was apparently a local TV kid star when she was growing up, which is a little embarrassing for her. A little bit. And so it was like a nice, sweet time, just a very nice get together, celebrating, this very occasional momentous purpose for this restaurant. Even however, Cassie's noticing that, like, yeah, Walker continuously tries not to talk to Liam about, certain things. And, it's like, you got to talk to your brother eventually. Like, he is your brother. Like, you got no choice. Cordell's like, fine, we will talk to him together. And she's like, nope, I'm a bounce. And he's like, damn, I got no choice here. But, Cordell doesn't give Liam what he exactly wants with the conversation, but he does give him some advice about just dealing with, I forgot what the conversation was about. It was about the grandma. Like, the grandma wasn't 100% very keen on getting to know Liam. She was just acknowledging his presence, and that's about it. Eventually we get to that little fun part of the episode where, when Cassie and her brother were giving like this little speech for their grandma about like just the accomplishments that the restaurant has made in the past 100 years, they're like, you know what, we used to do a thing when we were growing up. We used to dance, and they danced to like a very Hispanic song that, like, honestly, this would be a song playing in my dad's car whenever we go on a road trip. And I'm honestly like, just the way they perform, it's like, it's very, very basic. It's not the most complex thing, but just seeing the unity between brother and sister, eventually grandma, it is very sweet. It is a very sweet touch, and just seeing together, having a lot of fun. Like, the grandma's like, this is a big celebration. This is a lot of fun just to get back into the happy mood, and it was great. It was great for them to have like that little break from reality for a little bit. Cutting back over way beforehand to the school storyline, August is making his guaranteed mission to finally come out of her sister's shadow, actually being his own person, being his own, like, we're just talking about August Walker here. We're not talking about, at least August and Stella, or Stella and August, or whatever the terminology might be there. However, he's still finding it a little bit difficult. The football game he had in mind to, like, really shine in didn't really work out so well. Stella's kind of going through her own, like, weird surroundings, being back in her high school not too long after she graduated. Also seeing this random woman that Jerry used to know when she was in high school, making a joke of like, hey, I could have been your mom, if anything. And I'm like, bro, like, that's like, you don't talk about that shit. You really don't. But it's still a little awkward for, Stella to be back there, and she basically decided, like, to be that creepy, alumni that the line I said before. And then Jerry taking offense to that because she never really left Austin, to be honest with y'all. And she's like, look, I had my own plans. Life got in the way, and it doesn't matter. I'm happy right now. It doesn't matter if I went to college or anything. I'm still happy being here, and that's all that matters at the end. And Stella's like, takes us like, it's so hard, and also that Stella's also a bit worried the fact that, like, yeah, well, she's only a few weeks into this new, like, gap year period, but she hasn't really figured out what she really wants to do yet. She was kind of at least hoping if she was going to take the year off, that at least she would find out of, like, hey, what do I do? What am I going to do with my life? And, Jared's like, you know what? You don't have to rush. You have a safety net with your family. Some other people don't have safety nets that, if you would have to, like, literally either stick through college despite you not being interested, or literally going out to do multiple full-time jobs just to survive in this world. It is a lot, and you should be thankful you have a safety net with your parents, with your family. So don't take that for advantage. Eventually, Sherry gets called in to take care of another situation, so she has to close down shop for the night, allowing Stella to go home alone with Colton, while August had lost his football game, and he's just a little bit, like, still downside by the fact that, once again he tried to, like, be his own person, trying to, like, make his own mark, and once again he failed to do that. So he decides, you know what? Besides school is closed, I'm throwing a party, and they literally throw a party. They bring over all the kids from the high school. They connect all the kegs. And I'm like, bro, like, this is, like, you don't really think of the ramifications of your action. Like, you honestly think you were going to have a party completely uninterrupted, without a hitch, clean up the entire place, and, how do you explain to them, like, oh, all this beer and, alcohol is gone? Well, how do you explain that? Like, that's just a big, like, I don't even know what he's thinking. And in true SpongeBob party fashion, when he's trying to fix one of the kegs, he gets locked out of his own party, which I'm like, oh my god. And he's talking to one of his new friends about like, you know, he was just trying to do this like to be popular, to try and like, you know, be his own person, be his own man that isn't in relation to Stella. But he's telling him like, yeah, don't worry about that. Like, you know, we know you were right. Like, it doesn't matter if you're related to Stella. You know, you got to throw this cool party, and we had a lot of fun. However, the only downside to that of the fact is that there's a lot of damage going on outside. There's a lot of issues going on outside. Stella shows up, mad that like this is happening, tries to shut it down, lets August out. They have an argument, and the police show up, and since they know like all the Walkers own this bar, and like we got two of the Walker kids over here, they just assume that Stella's the one who threw the party, and that, you know, August was just accomplice of it. So they get arrested. Meanwhile, around the same time, Trey is not really working. He's like, he had the ceremony, but he hasn't started his full day yet. So he goes back home with his mom just to like celebrate the occasion of like being a Texas Ranger, and his first assignment won't be for that night. But before their assignment, they have to go visit the captain first, which is to give basically a piece of like history of Selective Ranger when James became a Walker and everything, and now he gets to pass this little like mini. I don't know if it was a mini vest or something like that. I don't know what it entirely was, but it's a symbol of like, you know, people who Rangers who have overcome adversity to get to this point to become Rangers themselves. And, you know, James is like, yeah, you're next for this. Like, you are next to earn this. And, you know, it's a big honor for him, but his mom is 100% not okay with it. James talks to her privately, and she says, any concerned mom, that, yeah, I love my kid so much. I was very happy when he was taking the therapist job and, you know, being with a girlfriend with a stable career path. And now he's back on the front line, back risking his life again. Like, I don't know if I can do this. But James is like, you know what? You know, we're on this team together. We're gonna do that. We're gonna keep your son safe as best as we can. But at the end of the day, like, your son is a worthy addition to our team. We need him on the front lines. And, you know, as much as, yeah, there will be days where like it will be scary, you know, we will do our best to make sure your son goes home at every night. So that was very sweet. Even he's like, you know what, don't call me James, call me Lenny. no, Larry. And Trey was like, can I call you Larry too? He's like, absolutely not. Get the hell to work. Which I'm like, I'm gonna love this dynamic so freaking much. I really am. Cordell and Cassie were about to step out, head back to their station to drop off the evidence and go home. And, you know, they're just having another conversation about, like, you know, Cassie still being bothered by the fact that she only was a page in her book. But this definitely was an eye-opener for her. Like, she needs to do more with her life. That whatever she's doing right now is not leaving the impact that she was hoping to leave. So this definitely will change her tune going forward. However, before they can immediately head back to the station peacefully, they get a call from the radio saying that, yeah, August has been arrested. Same with Stella. So August and Stella are in the cells. You know, August is like not really claiming responsibility, but he's still like kind of blaming Stella for, like, you know, your presence in life has basically caused me to do these sort of decisions. And Stella's really chewing him out of, like, you know, throwing this party, you know, taking the risk and everything, underage drinking, all that sort. Cordell shows up, immediately just tells August to get in the car, and I'm like, okay, aren't you gonna get Stella? And he's like, no, like, you know, again, it's the assumption of like Stella. Okay, yeah, she kept the car a secret. Yes, she got out of college. She decided to like not go to college after all. And also the fact of, like, you know, for her, it's, you know, he's just assuming that, yeah, you threw this party and you threw your brother along into this, even though, like, yeah, she's just trying to explain to him, no, it wasn't me, it was August. But before she even gets a statement out, you know, Cordell's is ripping her, like, actually revealing his true feelings about the college, you know, not the dropout, but like just the withdrawal. Like, he just wasn't happy with it, but he was trying to be the modern dad of saying, like, yeah, okay, you don't want to be a college student. Okay, that's fine. There are other opportunities for you. I'm pretty sure he wanted just to be simplistic and basic. Like, yeah, just go to college for 4 years and that's about it. But no, that's not what the plan was. And, you know, it sucks. It really, really does suck for her right now. And it sucks for him right now, trying to, like, you know, be a parent in the situation. But also at the end of the day, Stella is a legal adult. She's 18, so Cordell doesn't have an obligation to bail her out. So, you know, he just tells her, like, you know what? You're going to stay here for the night and, like, really think about it. I'm like, brah. Again, this is the misunderstanding. Like, you know, once eventually August has to step up and admit, like, yeah, I threw the party. And then, you know, Cordell's going to be like, oh, fuck, I fucked up badly. And Stella's not going to forget this. Like, this isn't a simplistic, like, you know, you just got to, like, for me, like, if I was ever a parent, actually, when I am a parent, I will let my kids talk. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay, speak your mind. Tell me what's going on, and like if the facts are there, okay, I'll believe you. But if facts aren't there, I can't believe you. So it's just a matter of everything. But definitely, I thought this moment was like kind of sudden, kind of came out of nowhere, but definitely is going to provide an interesting dilemma for Cordell and Stella. Like, once even the information is resolved between them, like how does that really get, how does their, overall relationship get impacted going forward? We don't know. We really don't know. But that was the end of this week's episode of Walker. Anywho, for this episode, I enjoyed it a lot. I think this was just a fun episode, mostly for Fru. The ending kind of really threw me for a loop, but it was very much a loop that I can't wait to see what the real ramifications of going forward. Would this being, Cordell and Stella having this, argument? What is Stella's going to be her next move? Like, I'm really curious. Again, I'm watching this on the CW.com, so I really don't know what the next preview, what the next episode is going to be. But what I can say about it is that I cannot wait to see where this is going to go. Trey being on the front lines, finally being a Texas Ranger, is definitely going to open some new possibilities. August is definitely going to have to honor the fuck up and like try to get his sister out of this. Otherwise, I will not forgive him as character. Like, yeah, freaking failed to get laid with the girl that literally was offering you, like, let's do it before I go. Or let's have a series of let's do it before I go. I will never forget about that. Never, ever, ever. But anyway, that's going to do it for me. But anyway, I'm going to give this episode 2 thumbs up. Again, I loved almost every aspect of this episode. The ending very much threw me for the loop, but I can't wait to see what the ramifications of it will be. But let me in the comments below, what did you think of this week's episode of Walker? Because I'm going to give 2 thumbs up. So let me in the comments below. Let's start that conversation. And I believe that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Two from ActionX, reviewing every episode in the 3rd season of Walker. If you want to know what we're doing normally on What's the Two besides our Walker episode reviews, we are currently doing Walker Independence episode reviews, the Rookie episode reviews, the Rookie Feds episode reviews, and my Gotham Knights game just crashed while I was talking about this, goddamn. And DC Stargirl episode reviews each and every week after brand news is on the CW and ABC, respectively. But if you don't care about Walker, you're in luck. We'll be back next week with another brand new episode review, so stay tuned until then. But again, this has been What's the Two from ActionX. Please subscribe to us on youtube.com/ActionX videos. Ring that bell for notification when our next episode review is live. And please also follow us on social media to stay up to date with any sort of updates we may have for either of our channels. But until we see each other again, for all you Texas Rangers out there, I'll see y'all next week. But until then, stay safe out there, be good to each other, and as always, peace out.